That's done. Thank you.
Ready whenever you are.
I am a loving and caring father. I would do anything in the world for my daughter. I would lay down my life for her, or even brave the biological wasteland of a McDonald's play place for her. No offense, Joe. But this is not what I choose to speak about. I would like to use this time to tell everyone about the most pivotal point in time in my life. Although this may sound strange, it has nothing to do with my daughter. Today I'm giving my respects to February 9th, 2010, because the next 10 days would forever change my life, and it is the reason why I'm here in front of you today. I would like to tell everyone about, first, the death of my dad, second, the death of myself, and third, and finally, our resurrection. Let me first start by telling you how he died. It was a very, very cold night in February in Ohio, and it was single digits, it was freezing cold. And my dad is a man who is an extremely stubborn hard worker. He works on a dry dock or a loading facility for a big Rubbermaid plant in Ohio. And out there with winters oftentimes getting down to single digits, all he had was his Carhartts on, or his suit, and to protect him from the elements. And that's all good and well, except for he was an extremely heavy smoker, two plus packs a day, and he was also the handyman for the entire family. So he was oftentimes in the middle of winter out fixing people's cars. For some reason, no one knows how to work on cars in my family except for my dad and myself. And so this was no exception. So my dad is a very stubborn man, and he never went to doctors or hospitals or anything like that, even if he was very, very ill, but somehow he always snapped back. And this was no exception. He developed a strong cough, and he just tried to plow through it, and he went to work constantly. And one night he was at work, and he collapsed and fell off of his forklift. And his friends saw him, and they picked him up, and they rushed him to the hospital because they knew that he would just say, no, I'm fine, just put me back on and push me along and I'll be fine. So it was one night in February, and I having a similar characteristic to my father, was very stubborn. And I've never been to a hospital in my life outside of obviously whenever I was born. I had developed extreme stomach pains that just came out of nowhere and just leveled me. And I was working at a job that I absolutely despised, and I had to come home, and I immediately went to the hospital. I felt as if there was someone stabbed me or something was seriously wrong. And I was, as I was in this excruciating pain, I rushed to the hospital, and I was in the emergency room, and I was in a room, and they immediately brought me back some morphine, which was okay, and I started feeling immediately better. And I felt foolish for being there and occupying the time of these people that were obviously in much dire need of attention than I was. So I started to go through the necessary steps to be released. And I was feeling much better, and it was very strange. They couldn't find anything wrong with me. So they said I needed to do a urinalysis and to make sure that everything was okay, my kidneys were functioning properly, and they could rule that out. So as I proceeded to do the to wait back there, I was soon forgotten, and I walked through the hall to try and find my nurse, and I walked past the room, and I saw my dad laying there in a hospital bed. And it shocked me so much to see him there, because like I said, he was extremely stubborn, and he was there, and he looked like a barely living corpse, and he was beet red, and his shirt was off, and they had all types of electrodes hooked to him. And it was very, very scary to see someone that you love and that you're very close to just flat out, almost dead. So he wasn't expected to survive through the night. I started approaching getting out, and I waited in the ER waiting room. And I waited for as long as I could, well past midnight, and I finally went home. The next day, they called me, and they said he had a massive heart attack throughout the middle of the night, and he had to be revived. And in the meantime, he had a pulse, but just barely. He wasn't breathing. His organs were failing and everything. So he was definitely dying. And as he started to die, a part of myself died also. I took this ordeal very hard, and it changed my perspective on my entire life. I remember specifically a night where I was looking out into the Akron city skyline, and it reminded me a lot of my dad. Very cold, desolate, There was just nothing there. So the lights were on, but there was nothing there. The outlook was extremely bleak on his situation and also mine at the time. I was very, very miserable. And I started to think about things that I'd like to change in my life. So that night, as my dad was lying in his deathbed, and I was dying too, I knew things had to change. I had to change everything in my life from that point on to enjoy the things that I wanted to out of life, and to be a better father and a better person to everyone around me. So 10 days after being in a coma, he started to come around, and he actually kind of revived. And he was his first order of business was to be a very dirty old man to his nurses, which was a very good sign. And he eventually made a great recovery, and I decided from that point on to take a resurrection in and of myself, and like I said, become the best person I could from that day on, and to learn how to enjoy life to its fullest. So in conclusion, today I told you, I paid my respects to February 9, 2010, because those 10 days forever changed my life. I first told you about the death of my dad, second the death of myself, and finally our resurrection. To resurrect means to bring something dead back to life, to restore vigor, or to give new life. If vigor is a tenacity in which we live our lives, then that's exactly what was missing from my life prior to that point. Life has a funny way of placing boulders in your path when they are mere pebbles with a change of perspective. If you're lucky enough to be alive today, my advice is that you don't waste your time or efforts on being angry or bitter, and rejoice with this gift of life that you've been given. Don't wait until you have to be forced to your knees before you learn to bend and smell the roses.